New England gets their second win of the year. They essentially end the Jets season. They win in Foxborough Sunday 25-22. Drake May only threw for 23 yards because he got lost to the concussion protocol, but he did have a nice rushing touchdown in there. Dave, I'll start with you, man. But did you like the response to them being caught up? Because obviously Gerard Mayo had called him soft the week prior after that loss in London. So did you like the response to them being called out, or was this more about the Jets being a complete dumpster fire?
Well, yeah, and yeah. I think that the Jets looked like shit. I think that Rodgers, like I said, hasn't been good in 3 years. I think that, way to get hurt, dude. And I think he's a kook. I think they let the criminals run the asylum over there, and the lunatics take over. And yeah, they are a dumpster fire. I can't deny that. Is that why the Pats won? I mean, listen, I think divisional games show you a lot. I think in any situation, and I think we're going to do the power ranking show also on this feed if you guys want to check it out, and you'll see a lot of divisional games this past week, and you see these matchups make teams play a little outside themselves, do things a little bit differently than maybe they would normally because they see these teams a lot. Um, that being said, all those qualifiers, I thought the Pats looked good. I mean, if you didn't apply the context of all the other weeks of watching them play football, which unfortunately you have to,
Right.
you'd be like, they're not bad. They're okay. They had their moments, and most notably, and I'm sorry, it's unfortunate that the concussion protocol thing happened. You never want to see the starting QB get blue tented, but I think he's kind of a baller, dude. To be honest with you, I just think he's got it. I think he's got those things. I think we might be early to say, but I think we might be in a very rich vein of quarterbacks right now in that draft class. I think they were right when they said that. And I was watching him ball out. And to me, if you knew nothing about football and you applied no context and you asked me which of those two quarterbacks I'd want, I would have said your guy. So yeah, I enjoyed how they played the game. Like they played well. They still had to beat them,
But
yeah, I mean, when it comes to Drake May, that dude is like DK just said, he's an absolute baller. The one thing that stood out to me in this game is, do you guys hear the stat that the Jets had 250 yards passing, no turnovers, and I think it was multiple touchdowns, and no team ever have not lost that game. And they're the only ones that have ever lost a game in that circumstance.
Yeah, what was 715-0
until that game.
And the Patriots are the one this. We broke the streak, baby. We're the new Brock Lesnar. Oh my God! What a joke! What a joke! What a joke! Like that.
I mean, I'll also say though, what
can't happen?
As much as I was complimenting Drake May, and just on the opposite of that, Jacoby Brissett came in and balled out too. He came in and he was like super consistent, super, and that to me was like the kind of the cool performance watching that down the stretch where it was just like, oh look, Jacoby's back here, he's playing super consistently, like we saw him in week 1. Getting your tight ends involved. I mean, talk about a Patriot offense, right? Seeing Hooper and Henry combined for a lot of catches and a lot of yards. That was nice. I just think that they played not as bad. Their offense this season isn't as bad as it's been in the past few years. I'll say that. I think that there's notable improvements on the offensive side of the ball. And I think that is you should, I think, credit your coaches for that. And I know that last week it was very doom and gloom about the coaching staff, but I don't know, man. They had to do a lot to make sure that every piece happened and was ready for that game in particular. And Brissett, I think coming in is a really big example of that. Like the guy was ready to go. He came in and it looked pretty seamless. So I give the coaches a lot of credit for that. I mean, we see that the guy's not getting by on his athleticism. You know what I mean? So obviously the scheming is working to a certain degree.
If the Pats
hate that, right?
If the Pats could catch too, they would have won that game easily. There's multiple big plays with booty drop balls. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, and that's my biggest issue right now with that wide receiver room. Is like, yo, I do think there's some guys that have talent there for sure. Obviously they just have to develop, but you cannot you cannot look like me at the YMCA playing flag football and be out there on the field trying to make plays and then say that you have the best hands in the league. No, like Drake May was literally throwing darts and hitting guys in what they call the bread basket, and guys were just literally dropping it, right? But to your point, Dave, about Jacoby Brissett, yeah, I mean, listen, no one has slandered his name, his character, than the man that you hear right now coming through your airwaves. But yeah, give credit where it's due. He showed up. He stepped up, and I thought that the biggest improvement I saw with him on Sunday was that he made quick decisions. Right. I think sometimes when you get a chance to step back and kind of watch the game from the sideline, you can kind of see like, oh, okay, if I make this throw here, I might get this first down, or if I run when the guys are turning their back to me, I can get a 5 or 6 yard gain. So I think that's what he went back.
That early, yeah.
Yeah, he went back to that, and we what he did in week 1, like you said. So yeah, I was pleased with that. I'm glad that he won and had that game winning drive, because that was something that has been elusive here. Once again, that's something that used to be a regular thing here. That if you was down, I think about that Saints game years ago against Breeze. I think about the Peyton Manning game when they were down 24-0. Like there's so many times you could go back. The Buffalo Bills game on Monday night where they scored 2 touchdowns in like a minute and 30 seconds. So that used to be a thing where you didn't think about them losing. It was like, okay, like they're gonna find a way to come back. So it was cool to actually see them get a winning home, because they haven't won since last year at home. So that was good to see them pick that up. But I don't know. I'm just like it's hard for me. I want to get back to Drake May, because obviously he left in the left because of the concussion protocol. But would you want to see him play next week against Tennessee, or would you wait until Chicago? So Dave, I'll let you answer that first.
I would probably bench him. Just better safe than sorry on the concussion stuff, if you ask me. You're going to need him.
He's your quarterback. He's the guy. He's the one that you drafted 3rd overall. He's not, you know what I mean? It's Jacoby Brissett out there.
Well,
yeah. I think you can beat Tennessee without Jacoby Brissett, and I think the season looks a lot sunnier all of a sudden.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but it looks sunnier, but then it's like we can come to Soldiers Field and get beat by 20. So, but what's up?
New and magical ways to fuck things up.
Well, we'll speak about that coming soon. They've already been, but no. Let's once again. It's a happy moment for now, but I would sit him as well. Honestly, I just think that if you can't,
they're safe and sorry, man. Not against the Titans. Who gives a shit?
Great. They just gave him a 50 piece to Detroit.
Plus that was
at this point.
All flats.
If you beat the Titans, that could cost you Travis Hunter in the end. You know what I mean? The Titans are going to be winning many more games this season. You guys aren't going to be winning many more games this season. So
then I don't even know.
I think it'd be in your best interest to sit them.
But the thing is,
I think that ship's already sailed, dude. I don't think that they're worse than the Panthers, and I don't think that they're worse.
Yeah, that's the thing. I guess so. I'm not. Once again,
I think they're going to draft 3rd overall again. Maybe
Hunter and Will Campbell obviously are the other 2 of the blue chip prospects in their draft. But if you fall down to 8 or 9 or even 10 and get the other lineman from Texas, Banks. Like if you get him, cool. I just know it's either you get a guy in the top 10 or you trade for an overhaul. Like I know, to me, I just feel like you have to find a way.
What does free agency look like for your line?
I'm not sure.
Honestly, so much salary cap.
I don't. Yeah, I mean they do have a good amount of money to spend, or that they're able to spend. But to me, it goes back to what I've been saying. If free agents don't see that you're building towards something, why would they want to come?
But that's the thing. So you want to win a couple more games. You want to show the market that you have. You might not be in. I think you might have already made your top 3 pick, right? And I think that if he can play that consistently down the stretch for you guys, there is a chance you're looking at the 7th or 8th pick, but that's not necessarily the end of the world, despite what you were saying coming out of the offseason, where everybody wanted like the 2nd or even the 1st, right? It doesn't look like you're that bad. And I think if May does come in and start to win, maybe from the Chicago game onwards, hopefully, I don't think you're in a bad mood about having the 8th pick or the 9th pick. I think and the free agency looks a lot more optimistic too, right?
Oh, and let me be clear, that's really the path I desire. I would just resign to the fact that they were going to be in the top 3 because of how bad it looked, obviously, going into this game. So
I'm not sure who's going to be like an unrestricted free agent this season, but if you're in a position to, I would overpay for a wide receiver 1, and I would overpay for a left tackle if those guys are available. I would pay those guys a little more than market value and to get them onto your team immediately.
And once again, I don't know who that would be. I don't know if they. I mean, I don't know if like can you get a Houston type deal where you get a Larry Tunsil? Can you do something like that? Like that would be awesome. But it's just a matter of can you do that? So I don't know if a guy they traded a couple of years ago would be available. Shaq Mason, who was a really good right guard here in his time here. Can you see if you get a healthy Coach Strange next year? Can he be essentially the replacement for David Andrews? Because I think David Andrews is probably going to retire within the next year or so. So he's starting to get there in age. So Coach Strange, to me, doesn't fit what a guard looks like, but he's small enough and in stature to be what a center is. So maybe he's the guy that replaces David Andrews there. So yeah, they have a lot of things to iron out and at that level. I just once again, to me, a majority of their picks should be linemen, whether it's on defense or offense. I just think that's where they have struggled the most. Once again, we hope that Barmore can come back healthy. You may lose Dietrich Wise soon because he might be someone that the team looks at and say, hey, he could be good in situational downs. So yeah, I mean they just traded Josh Uche to the Chiefs. We got a 6th rounder for him. So maybe apparently he fell out of favor here because we were wondering in the chat why he got dealt to Kansas City, but I guess he fell out of favor. But I'm positive he's gonna do well there because moves like that is what New England used to do, right? Go get a Kyle Van Noy, go get a guy that wasn't doing so well elsewhere. He comes to you and becomes a guy, becomes a staple of the defense. So I'm already sick thinking about it, but it is what it is. So but just I think Dave, you just brought it up. So Bobby, I'll let you answer this as well. But